As we celebrate Heritage Day on Tuesday, the 24th of September, we thought we'd zoom in on the issue of languages and the role it plays in promoting our heritage. Now, our next guest has always been passionate about unearthing the untold stories of South Africa, particularly women's stories. Her name is Deidre Jantjies, and she's a professional flamenco dancer, activist, as well as the founder of Na Aap Productions, a fully integrated, broad-based production company telling untold stories of history in Southern Africa. She joins us now from our Sea Point studios to unpack her love for storytelling and taking on stories that include indigenous heritage and traditions that have been forgotten. Deidre, a very good morning and a warm welcome to Morning Live.
Going here. Hi, Cross. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure. Now, why, in your opinion, Deidre, is heritage important? Who are we without it?
I think heritage is important because as soon as you understand your heritage and where you come from, you understand what your purpose is in the future. So it grounds you, it roots you to understanding what your purpose in life is and how you're going to make a change in the future.
So what sort of changes would you like to see in the way that South African cultures and, of course, our heritage are preserved and passed on to the younger generation?
I would like to see more stories being told, especially from the Khoi and the San perspective, and making us understand how, our Khoi and San heritage has made such enormous breakaways for us to understand how stories are being told. So understanding that storytelling has magic realism within it and how we can make a change by stories being told in all areas and levels of the community and generations.
So if telling and retelling our past stories is very important in creating a better future and understanding and preserving our own heritage, how important is this?
Mm-hmm. It's important for our economy. It's important for us to see and find ways for us to make, tourism active, for us to see how we don't have to look at Western spaces and places for us to find ways to get the economy going, but for us to look at, our soil, our heritage, our history, and our stories and how we can utilize that in order for us to make our economy a better place and space.
What then needs to be done to promote indigenous languages, something that you are also very passionate about?
I am very, very passionate about it. I think it all started with me understanding and trying to understand what my purpose in South Africa is and how important my place or my space is in South Africa. So it all started with me, but I think it was a universal, or it was a space for so many other people to also try to understand where they fit in, especially in the colored community. And I thought, let me just decolonize, and not decolonize, but indigenize myself into understanding how, where I fit in and where so many other South Africans that don't understand where they fit in within South Africa is, where they do feel they are important and what place and space they belong to.
I think we've got to a point where, we now confine our culture and heritage to certain calendar days of the year, like, the Heritage Day, and in some instances when we attend cultural days or even cultural weddings or traditional weddings. But then we don't normally embrace those kind of narratives on a regular basis. Do you think this is right? Are we on the right path?
I think, there's... if you're going to go into the new culture, there is a practice for a young girl. When a young girl becomes a woman, there's a sacred practice that they undergo, whereby the older folk and the older generation, they guide you. The young girl goes into the hawk and she's there for a certain period of time, and she is being guided as a young woman by the older generation into understanding how she should carry herself and how she should be gracefully, understanding that becoming a woman is a huge responsibility. So small, fine, sacred rituals like that is important for us to understand. And so many other Khoi and San traditions and rituals.
Now, Deidre, speak to us about the animation film that you created and what that is about.
So the animation started with me just writing a story about a young girl that has a gift to speak to the rain. And because I didn't see much stories being told by young girls, I wanted to indigenize it and to see how a young girl could have a gift to lead her people. And so, I started with that, and I got animators together, and I said, you know what? I think it's important for us to just look at a new way of understanding stories being told from a perspective of a young indigenous girl that has a responsibility to carry out her community and make her community feel that they are going to have a good leader in the space. So the story is about a young girl that goes out into the journey of becoming, finding her purpose and saving her community.
All right, and what has the response been to your Sarah Bartman project?
At the moment, I sent it off to the 1 Minute Film Festival, and it was accepted. So it's going to be screened at the 1 Minute Film Festival here in Cape Town. And from here, I'd like to turn it into a series of stories which I also have written. So a series of different indigenous stories using the media of television to reach foundation phase and for them to see that there is, indigenous stories can educate you in a beautiful way.
All right, Deidre, thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated. That was storyteller and cultural activist Deidre Jantjies speaking to us about how storytelling can assist us in preserving our heritage. Now, the country marks Heritage Day on Tuesday, the 24th of September. We'll have more in a moment.